targets, although they may do that, but they're mainly interested just in killing. So it's blind terrorism, random killing, a kind of uncontrollable massacre of people. And let me just be specific about what I mean by this. If you read these crazy Western media, they will tell you that Homs is the great center of this rebellion here, the civil war in Syria, right? Well, when we got here with the delegation that I was with, we went right to Homs. We got, at least I did, within 24 hours after coming, we went to Homs. And not only did we go to Homs, we went to Zara. We went to the neighborhood that's supposedly the center of all agitation. And when you get there, what you see is, first of all, empty streets. And then eventually we saw 500 people in a public square, and they were agitating somehow, right? They were having a demonstration of some kind. So we were a little bit frightened, right? Because we thought, you know, these are people who...
they're armed or something like this.
Who knows? So we get down we leave our bus and go onto the street, and here are these people. And the number one issue for them is not what you think. It's mazout.
Yeah.
They're concerned about fuel oil.
Yeah.
And they're concerned about the fact it's getting cold, and the winter is here, and they need to heat their homes. And there's not enough fuel oil. And they have criticisms of the governor of the province,
yes,
who we also met, who seemed like a good guy to me, but they say that he doesn't do enough to get the mazout. Now, as soon as you're talking about mazout, there are two things, right? One is that there are already economic sanctions by NATO. There's economic warfare that influences the availability. The other thing is, I've been told that various of these terrorists, of these death squads, they specifically target the trucks that carry fuel oil, mazout, and they try to hijack the trucks and take them to Turkey, where they can sell it at a better price.
And Lebanon also.
And Lebanon, wherever it is. So we got to see these people demonstrating. Now, the question then is, what was the political coloration? Well, it's pro-Assad, and they had these portraits of Assad, which were not the well-designed, new, well-printed, good graphic arts that the government might give you. But these were old pictures clipped out of magazines or something. This was a poor man's portrait, showing these portraits. So the amazing thing is, first of all, the big issue is fuel oil. Secondly, it's pro-Assad, not anti-Assad. And then we got to see they have these plastic containers that the fuel oil goes in, and they had about 120 or something of these lined up in a row, and they were just trying to agitate that they wanted to get this solved. We then went to the hospital, quite close by. So we're talking the Zara Hospital last Tuesday. And here we find some doctors, some nurses, some patients, all different people, and a lot of just people who happen to be there, and they see that for the first time there are foreigners in Homs, because I think this was the first delegation of foreign writers, journalists to come in, because we were allowed to do this by the government. The government said you can go wherever you want, and we did. And we told them we were going to go there, and we did go there. So when you talk to the people in this hospital, they say they are undergoing 7 wounded in one day, 5 dead. They had 1 soldier who was killed by 5 terrorists ganging up on him. And then some days they have as many as 80 total dead and wounded, and some days it's down to 3 or 4. But this is what's going on. And you ask, well, who's doing that? Is it the army? No, it's not the army. It's terrorists. In other words, it's snipers with sniper rifles who are up on the roofs of the various houses, and in the nighttime, or 9 a.m. in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 11 o'clock at night, the snipers come out, and they try shooting people. And they kill people. And it doesn't matter who you are, right? Whether you're man, woman, child, you can be a Ba'athist or a communist, that doesn't matter. They'll kill you anyway. You can be Christian, any kind, right? Greek Orthodox, whatever it is, Melkite, Syrian. You can be Sunni, you can be a Druze, you can be a Kurd, you can be anything. And they'll kill you. So it's an equal opportunity killer. And therefore it's different than a traditional South American death squad. It's actually worse. So that is, I think, extremely dramatic proof that this story, I just saw one of the presenters on BBC saying, and of course, Homs is the center of this rebellion. Well, I've been there. I've been with people all around me, right? They couldn't wait to tell their stories. And then you ask them, what should happen? What is the answer to this? What are you demanding? And they say, we want the Syrian army to come in large numbers. We want more soldiers here. What should they do? They want the soldiers to climb up on the roofs of the houses and stay there and patrol and make sure that the snipers can't come and start killing people. And that's what they want. I would suppose they'd like some helicopters up above and maybe some tanks in the streets just to make it complete. But the big thing they want is they want the Syrian army. And if they have a complaint, is they think President Assad didn't send enough troops, not fast enough, and not with the right orders. Because at the beginning, from many sources, we were told there was this order saying, don't shoot anybody. Well, of course, if it's a civilian demonstration, you shouldn't shoot at a civilian demonstration. But if you've got 200 or 300 snipers in an ambush, then probably you better start defending yourself any way you can. So this was the great irony, is that the Western media say the Syrian people want the army to leave the cities. And then you go there and the Syrian people tell you, we want the army to come into this city. So I think that's all pretty clear.
So what do you think, or what do you answer the international community, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Arab League, that when they say President Bashar al-Assad have to withdraw the army from cities?
I have simple advice: shut up. Stop lying. Remember, the UN Charter, no matter what the Security Council may say or not say, the United Nations Charter, which has some value, says interference in the internal affairs of sovereign states is not allowed. And this crazy Libya resolution, right, about the responsibility to protect civilians, you have to ask yourself, what's more authoritative? The Charter, which was really approved by a lot of countries a long time ago, or the things that go through the Security Council from day to day. It's one of the problems of the United Nations. Mm-hmm. In other words, in the U.S. system, there's a difference between constitutional law and statute law. In other words, just a law majority. But if you want the Constitution changed, that's much harder. The problem with the United Nations is some people in the United Nations will say anything the Security Council decides to do is international law. That can't be. And one of the reasons is this. The Libya resolution was passed at a time when the Russians were very weak because of Medvedev. Yeah. Medvedev foolishly believed in the reset with Obama. I tried to warn them. They had their reasons. This was really foolish, and this was a colossal historical tragedy, because all it would have taken was a veto by the Russians. The Chinese would have joined it, and then it would have been really hard for NATO to do it, because the little NATO countries, the smaller ones, the Norwegians, the Dutch, the Canadians, I mean smaller than the populations, a lot of them can't legally do the bombing unless there's a UN mandate. So if you can block the UN mandate, you can block the whole thing. So unfortunately, we're now in a period of international anarchy, and this should make us pause for thinking, right? Because international anarchy is dangerous. One of the times we had international anarchy was 1914, right before World War I. International law had pretty much gone out the window. Or 1938, Munich, 1939, Hitler attacks Poland. That's also international anarchy. We are now back in international anarchy, and this means that that the danger to all of us is greater. The UN Charter is concerned about avoiding war between states. It rightly regards that as much worse than anything else. Now we've got these meddlers, I guess we could say, imperialists and other meddlers, who want to change all that and say, no, the really important thing is the responsibility to protect civilians, even though that virtually guarantees war. Because it means that at some point somebody's going to say, well, China, we have to come in there and protect, or Russia, or somebody who's powerful enough to defend themselves. So what I would say to the people that you've mentioned, right, Hillary Clinton and
Barack Obama, international community,
is that these people have gone insane. In Washington, D.C., during the course of this year, you've had a growing war psychosis, a hysteria. What is called the Arab Spring, I would say, is a complete fraud. It's a absolutely fraudulent creation, because what you're actually dealing with here is two things. One is a depression. There's a world economic and financial depression, worse than the 1930s, and this means that in many, many countries, we have high unemployment, we have high youth unemployment, we have rising prices for food, because the banks are speculating on food prices. So it's not so hard to get people riled up about economic demands, because they have them. And the other side, though, is this, that the CIA and the State Department have decided that they will not allow any independent nation states to continue to exist. They want to destroy all of them. And that's what you have. That is this process. It began about a year ago with the WikiLeaks, the third WikiLeaks document dump. WikiLeaks, of course, a CIA limited hangout operation. In other words, a process of selective revealing of certain documents that are edited. Other documents remain secret, but the whole thing is designed to do what? Designed to make the enemies of the CIA look bad. Because if you look at the WikiLeaks document dump, who is suffering from this, right? Who is bad? Who gets hit? Ben Ali, Gaddafi, Mubarak, Putin, Berlusconi, Karzai, Maliki, Kirchner in Argentina, all the enemies of the CIA get hit. And the CIA, well, nobody in the US got hit, nobody in Britain, nobody in Israel.
Heroes.
They're heroes, and that's what they said. There's a guy called Alec Ross in the State Department. He's an assistant to Hillary Clinton. And he was asked by France 24, France 24, what